Hey everybody, Ross here, and this is Bible Study Soapstone. If this is your first time on this channel, click here to go back to the intro, or if you would like to just see what's been happening recently, click here to go back to Genesis 12. And without further ado, I'm just going to jump right on into Genesis 13, verse 1. Then Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wives, and all that he had, and Lot with him to the south. Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanites and the Perizzites then dwelt in the land. So Abram said to Lot, "Please let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land for you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I'll go to the right. Or, if you go to the right, then I'll go to the left." And Lot lifted his eyes, and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you go toward Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. And the Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, "Lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see, I give to you and your descendants forever. And I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then your descendants could also be numbered. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you." Then Abram moved his tent, and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar to the Lord, and built an altar there to the Lord. Alright. After Abram's deceit of Pharaoh in Egypt, he returned to the place where he had lived before going into Egypt. It was there that he called on the name of the Lord. Now this may seem rather random at first, but I think this is an important concept for us when we sin or in some way fail in our walk with Christ. Instead of wallowing in our guilt over the fact that we messed up, blaming it on something or somebody else or anything of the sort, we should repent and return to the last point where we know we were in God's will and continue on from there. Once there, we need to ask God to make us aware of what drew us away to begin with, and for His help to avoid it. Moving on. When strife arose between Abram and Lot's herdsmen, Abram recognized that if left unchecked, such strife would progress into bitterness, anger, unforgiveness, and possibly even violence. When disagreements and issues are great enough between two people, especially two Christians, it's far better to part ways in love than it is to allow the situation to reach a point where there is a bitter and angry party. This is not about either party being right or wrong. This is about agreeing to disagree and not allowing the conflict to damage or destroy the relationship. This takes great maturity on both parts, and quite honestly, it doesn't always happen. And finally, I think in an effort to part ways on good terms, Abram gave Lot the first choice of which direction to go whenever they parted ways. Naturally, Lot chose the land that would be better for his livestock and more comfortable for his people. This left Abram with the much more difficult and uncomfortable land. Nevertheless, he kept his trust in God, and God gave him and his descendants all the land in every direction as far as he could see, and promised again that his descendants would become a great and innumerable nation. And that's all I have for today. If you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, I'd love to hear about them, either in video response or in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all soon in Genesis 14.